Will there be enough produce to feed the nation? Minister for Agriculture Ezekiel Joseph says St. Lucia is still feeling the effects of Tropical Storm Kirk as it relates to food security on the island. He revealed that shortages of certain crops have led to an implementation and revision of strategies that look to create a more resilient agricultural sector. Solange Alfred reports.
Demand for local produce in St. Lucia is expected to keep growing. However, with the current shortage in locally produced foods like ginger, white yam, and sorrel, a more chartered path for the agricultural sector is being touted as the way to ensure food security and minimize food importation. Minister for Agriculture Ezekiel Joseph expressed that the passing of Tropical Storm Kirk greatly contributed to a shortage in local food production. He also stated that moving forward, plans are underway to bolster the agriculture industry.
We're quite aware of the unfortunate shortages that we're experiencing right now, and one would appreciate coming out of Tropical Storm Kirk that has impacted agriculture significantly. I'm sure the figures that were reported would indicate to everyone that we have to rebuild after. We have put programs in place to assist our farmers.
According to Joseph, the need to decrease importation of food products which are able to grow in St. Lucia will not only aid in reducing the food shortages, but also assist in the economic development of the island.
We are now looking at a very strategic program for 2019, and we call it the Import Substitution Program, where we have identified a number of the crops that we know we can grow in St. Lucia, namely the cucumbers, the lettuce, the tomatoes, the sweet peppers, the cabbages, the watermelons, So at least we can see a reduction on the importation of these crops. We are now restructuring the St. Lucia marketing board, which is critical because we cannot advise farmers to continue to produce, and there's no reliable market for them. So in the new year, all these programs will be unfolding, and we are hoping that, barring any unfortunate situation with climate change, we should see a significant reduction in the importation of these crops, and of course, a more sustainable availability of these crops based on the programs we put in place.
Building a more resilient agricultural sector through the implementation of new technology and processes that include climate-smart techniques will create a sustainable industry to ensure food security. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
New fire service recruits are now well placed to execute their duties following vigorous training. Their skills have been honed in a wide cross-section of areas. On the 22nd of July 2018, 45 young people embarked on a journey to become firefighters in St. Lucia. They had beaten a field of 330 other applicants and passed through a very thorough application process, which included medical examinations, physical tests, background checks, and an interview to be considered ready to train as firefighters.
The training duration was 14 weeks of firefighting training and an additional 6 weeks of EMT, Emergency Medical Technician training, to make one of our longest programs to date. This training took the form of recruits waking up every morning from 5 a.m. to start the day with physical training, followed by theoretical and practical sessions, which included squad drills during the day and with night sessions as well, to ensure that the training was wholesome and complete.
The recruits were also introduced to some new training areas such as swift water operational training, sign language and hot fire drills, as well as the traditional hose, ladder, squad drills, vehicle extrication and search and rescue.
During the course of your career, you are likely to encounter tremendous challenges and uncertainties. Some of these may be life-threatening and, in unfortunate circumstances, life-ending. Such is the nature of the profession. However, be rest assured that you can prepare yourself to better handle these trials by continuously seeking knowledge and maintaining a healthy lifestyle.
The unique role of firefighters places them in situations where they meet people at some point of grief, whether it is illness, tragedy, or loss of property. Professionalism and empathy in the dissemination of their duties was drilled into the batch of recruits. For the first time in recent years, the recruits graduated as fully qualified emergency medical technicians.
Fire and emergency services are becoming more urgent. The public is more demanding. Modern firefighting is becoming more and more complex. The job is a stressful one. This job is a very jealous mistress. And for you young people, you may find yourselves that you have to ensure that your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your wives and husbands understand the nature of your job. You may not always be available for those romantic dates and parties because work comes first.
This year's graduation was held under the theme, "Through Our Sacrifices, Great Accomplishments Are Realized." St. Lucians were granted the opportunity to know their HIV status through testing as the Department of Health and Wellness continues to observe World AIDS Day. More in this report.
The Infectious Diseases Unit in the Department of Health and Wellness recently hosted an outreach activity with the aim of providing an ideal setting for persons to access free rapid HIV testing. Physician of the Infectious Diseases Unit, Dr. Gil Kajada, expressed hope that this activity will raise awareness about the importance of HIV testing and early HIV diagnosis.
So the purpose of this outreach is to make persons aware that there is rapid HIV testing, and in keeping with the theme of Know Your Status, we would like everyone to consider what is their status. Do I know my status? I should want to know my status. So that's why we invite persons to come out and get tested.
Dr. Kajada says her unit will continue to encourage St. Lucians to get tested as to stop the spread of HIV.
HIV is one sexually transmitted infection. There are other means of contracting HIV, but there are other sexually transmitted infections out there. So we would like persons to be cognizant of the fact that there are sexually transmitted infections out there, and to think about how they might get it and what we have available to allow them to be tested. So we have our sexual and reproductive health clinic at the Victoria Hospital, and we have other clinics at the other wellness centers. They may not be specifically STI clinics, some do, some don't, but you can always have a chat with your health provider, be it your nurse or your doctor, to find out what you could do and where you can get tested and what tests are available.
The outreach activity offered the services of blood pressure and blood sugar testing, sexual reproductive education, and rapid HIV testing. Reporting from the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, I am Fenel Neptune.
Up next, we have the sports news with Tennyson Glasgow.